First this hour, ordinary people shot dead in the street, women raped in front of their children. The atrocities in Bucha near Kiev have horrified the world. President Zelensky says over 300 were killed and tortured in that town, and that Russia is trying to cover up evidence of war crimes. He'll address the UN Security Council this afternoon as the West prepares to ramp up sanctions. Well, joining me now live from Kiev is Ukrainian MP Kira Rudik. Kira, thanks so much for taking the time to talk with us this afternoon. I suppose it must be an incredibly bittersweet moment, liberating those towns outside of the capital. Firstly, positive pushing back those Russian troops, but incredibly horrifying to see what they have done.
Hello, thank you so much for having me. Right. We knew from the previous reports that the terror is happening there, but we didn't know to which extent. This is why myself and other parliamentary leaders, we went there to see it by our own eyes. And I can tell you that it was terrifying. We have seen mass graves of people, around 300 dead bodies. We have talked to the survivors. And we have seen people who were ran over by tanks multiple times. We have seen women's bodies who were raped and then tried to be burned. We have seen bodies that were tortured before they were killed with the bullets in their knees. And this is all just cannot get into one's head, and you cannot accept that this is happening like very closely to where you are. And another thing is that you cannot accept that this terror is happening somewhere in Ukraine right now, in the occupied cities. Because what we have seen is just only one piece of the whole picture that Russians are painting here. You know what they were telling the people, the peaceful people who still are alive in Bucha? They were telling them, "You are all dirt, and we will free this country from dirt." This is very Nazi to say, right? This is what Nazis were saying about Jews. And right now, Russians are killing peaceful people in my country, and the whole world is watching. So every single moment while the world leaders are hesitating to give us the necessary weaponry or to stop buying Russian gas and oil, I want to call on every single person and say, don't be a part of it. Be the ones who are stepping up. Be the ones who are helping us right now. Because these things are happening because the whole world is allowing Putin to do this. Because for 8 years we were telling that he is a maniac, that he is a tyrant, that he is a criminal. And it just is coming to people's minds that we were right, but we are paying for it with our own lives, with our people, with our women, with our children, who will be never to be able to get back. And these things continue. So every single dollar that is spent right now on Russian products is going straight to Russian soldiers to kill children, to rape women, and destroy peaceful homes. Every single moment that we are not getting the weapons, we continue the war. Because you see, we are fighting so bravely on the ground, we are able to push them back. However, we cannot protect our skies. And we are not asking for NATO troops on the ground here. We are not asking NATO soldiers or NATO pilots in the jets. We say we will fight ourselves. But we are calling for you to help us with the weapons, with the means, with the tools to protect ourselves, to push the invaders back from our country.
It is remarkable to hear those stories firsthand of the slaughter of innocent men and women, people being shot in their homes and on the streets. It's remarkably similar to stories that we heard almost 100 years ago in the 1930s, the late 1930s, and what one genocidal regime was doing. I do wonder what people would have done 90 years ago compared to what they are doing today. President Zelensky spoke of appeasement recently from some European leaders, of past European leaders. In your view, Are European leaders today waking up to the reality of what needs to be done, of how Europe in particular needs to stop funding Mr. Putin?
I will believe this when I will see the result. Because today, on the day 41 of the war, we are asking for the same things that on the day 1. Strict sanctions, weapons, supplies. Do we get the strict sanctions? No. There are still countries that are buying Russian gas and oil and considering continue doing it. Did we get weapons? No, by this time we didn't get the jets to protect our skies. We are getting promises of it. But you cannot fight with promises. You see what is happening. Do you think the promises would stop that? Do you think you can come over onto Russian missile and say, okay, just in 20 days, maybe 30, we will get enough weapons to fight this? I don't think so. So with this, I do hope that today on the UN Security Council, there will be a question, United Nations. Are there any nations that want to be united with Russia? Are they still going to shake the hand that is deep in Ukrainian blood? Or maybe the United Nations will finally take a step, take a stand, and say that Russia cannot be the one of them, cannot be the one of us, that it needs to become new North Korea, that nobody wants to deal with, that everybody wants to disappear.
It is a very powerful message that you're providing there, and of course we will listen with intent to what President Zelensky has to say at the Security Council later today. No doubt many people will be hearing your words loud and clear in how the West needs to stand up to the despotic regime of Mr. Vladimir Putin. For now, Rudik, thank you very much for joining us here on The Briefing this afternoon.